Powerball tonight is $388 million. Good luck if you're playing at MichiganLottery.com or at Meijer, where you get more of the things you want most, more local produce, more home decor, more free prescriptions. More importantly, you get them all for less at Meijer. Why would you pay more? And, of course, there are many Michigan Lottery retailers across the state of Michigan, and MichiganLottery.com and the app, too. I was working background on the Bill Maher show at CBS for HBO Friday, and I was surprised to see Bill Maher say things are not looking great for the Democrats. Notice he didn't say Democrat, he said Democrats. We're going to talk in just a minute with Dave Dulio, the director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University in Rochester. He's a distinguished professor in the political science department. We did have a Senate debate last week, and he's going to have a look at that in terms of the Democrats in Michigan. Alyssa Slotkin, according to every poll I've seen, is leading Mike Rogers, but it's inside the margin of error for an open Senate seat. You heard me say at the end of the last segment that Donald Trump is wooing the DeVosses again, and he did so with a dinner in a penthouse apartment in Trump Tower last Sunday. And the DeVosses weren't the only ones there. Dick and Betsy DeVos were there, and John Ricketts, the billionaire who owns the Chicago Cubs, right? And apparently, over steak and baked potatoes, the president had a list of grievances that he let out. And then some people like Ricketts said the president was in good form. It was a great dinner, and we left more emphatic than ever that we're going to help him get back into the White House. Now, the interesting part was that Mrs. DeVos was there because she resigned from Trump's cabinet the day after the January 6th riot at the Capitol, and she was critical of him about it. And nevertheless, they were together again. Interesting. I find it interesting. Anyway, Dave Dulio is the director, as I mentioned, at Oakland University. What do you make of that meeting? Wouldn't it have been nice to be a fly on the wall?
Good morning, Michael Patrick. Thanks for having me back. It certainly would. I think that we've seen others. Betsy DeVos is not the first who has sort of changed her tune on Donald Trump, and including his running mate, Senator Vance, had a bit of a change of heart when it comes to supporting Donald Trump, and there are others around the country who are making that same choice.
I wonder what drives that. Is it the concern about what would happen if Kamala Harris were elected?
I was thinking about that as you were detailing that story, and I think that has to be part of it. It's a lot about negative partisanship these days, right? The objection to the other side, and it seems like it's different than in the past when we heard stories of people recounting the fact that they were trying to choose between the lesser of two evils. This seems to be, in the last several cycles, sort of ramped up and just fear of what happens when the other candidate might serve in office.
Well, I would kind of like to think that people like the DeVosses and Ricketts and whoever ends up in the cabinet will help with the guardrails on Donald Trump. I mean, I know last time he went through a bunch of staff, and some of those staffers are out there talking against him and that kind of thing. But I don't really think it will be the end of the world either way. But that seems to be one of the big Democrat talking points, that America will come to an end. Democracy is over if he's elected.
I would agree that is one of those big talking points, and I would also agree that I think the system, the American system, is bigger and stronger than any one candidate, any one elected official. We have to remember that we have all of these checks and balances that are that were put in place by the framers so smartly 240 some years ago, and I think that is that gives me at least some confidence, no matter who's elected, right? That the Congress will check the president, that the courts will check the president, and that's one thing that the President Trump found in his first term very clearly, that he overstepped, according to the Supreme Court, many times, and had his hand smacked.
I would suggest to you also, Dave Dulio, or at least ask you, that whether Mike Rogers or Alyssa Slotkin is elected to the United States Senate, either one of them will also help provide guardrails, even though Slotkin's a Democrat and Rogers is a Republican.
I think that's right. I think that either one of them will make a fine U.S. Senator for Michigan. They clearly have differences of opinion when it comes to policy alternatives that are put forward. But, I think that they both are, and they've demonstrated that they are sort of country-first people, right? And it's just in their nature to serve the country and to stand up for it.
There's going to be another Senate debate. Is anybody paying attention to these other than us?
Well, here in Southeast Michigan, the last one wasn't on our air anywhere, so nobody saw it on TV, except it was on News Nation, an upstart cable news station. But other than that, you had to find it streaming, it's too bad, right? Because they are both such good candidates. They are both passionate about their views, and nobody got to see here in Southeast Michigan anyway the contrast that exists between them, and that was the thing that struck me about last week's debate, and I imagine will be on full display this evening is clear contrast. If you have trouble making up your mind about one of these candidates, try to find this debate tonight, and the choice will be clear.
Any advice on how to find it?
It's going to be here in Southeast Michigan on WXYZ, but I have no idea how widely it will be broadcast in other markets.
Well, we'll do the best we can to get audio and amplify it. And, I kind of wish we were watching the presidential debate and it was the two of them. I'd be probably more comfortable with either of those two as president, for what it's worth. And I'm very comfortable talking to you and taking the advice of Oakland University, Dave Dulio, distinguished professor in the political science department.